I'm Adam Todd, and welcome to Classroom Dynamics, a teacher podcast. I've always believed that the best way to engage students in a 21st century classroom is to immerse them with the transformative tools that will empower each and every one of them to excel in the world that awaits. My goal is to ignite the spark that propels you and your students in an advanced tomorrow, and your journey into that future starts right now. Classroom Dynamics is supported by Logitech. As education continues to evolve, so does Logitech Education, your partner in content creation for the classroom. With Logitech's cutting-edge technology, students not only learn but also become content creators. Whether it's in person or online, Logitech's tools are designed to inspire educators and learners alike. Capture every educational moment in stunning detail and edit, produce, and share your creative journey with ease. Logitech Education, inspiring the next generation of creators. For more, visit logitech.com/education, transforming classrooms one innovation at a time. Introducing the Zone Learn wired headset from Logitech, the headset that's designed for learning and built for schools. Here are a few reasons why Zone Learn is the best headset option for today's students and schools. It's optimized to fit smaller heads with features like soft ear pads, a cushion headband, even weight distribution and micro-articulating ear cups that move in all directions. The audio driver is engineered for speech intelligibility, so spoken lessons come through crystal clear. And the movable boom mic is designed for better vocal clarity. It's durably designed to withstand frequent cleaning and constant wear and tear. My favorite aspect of the Zone Learn headset is that it's fully customizable and sustainable for both the environment and school budgets. The swappable ear pads come in over-ear and on-ear options. The interchangeable cables come in USB-A, USB-C, and audio jack options. This means that the ear pads and cables can be swapped out without replacing the entire headset. Plus, the Zone Learn is backed by a 3-year warranty, making it a smart, long-term investment for schools. Get your students into the learning zone with an elevated headset experience. Learn more at logitech.com/zonelearn.
For over 20 years, Higher Ground has designed functional technology protection, helping students to work or learn anytime, anywhere. I'm Mark, president of Higher Ground, and I want to share with you how you can get a free sample of any of our rugged shells, sleeves, or clear backpacks. Visit hggear.com/sample and use your school's email and address. One thing, don't tell Alex because he'll be stuck with all the paperwork. Request yours and see for yourself how Higher Ground can help save your students and school downtime and money. Just remember, don't tell Alex.
Mark, what are all these sample requests filling my inbox?
Welcome to Classroom Dynamics, the podcast where we get into the exciting world of technology and education. Hi everybody, I'm your host Adam Todd, and today we're building on a trend in education, the STEM trend with Lectec. Lectec isn't just about technology, it's about creating immersive learning environments that align with ISTE and next generation science standards. Their innovative curriculum combines problem-based learning with real-world applications in motion, physics, engineering, and more. So imagine a classroom where students don't just learn about physics, they experience it by assembling their own electric vehicle kits. These kits are more than just a project. They're a gateway to understanding complex concepts through hands-on, minds-on activities. Students not only engage in critical thinking and collaboration, but also gain a deeper appreciation for the physics of motion and the engineering principles behind their creations. On today's show, we'll explore how Lectec's approach is electrifying the educational space as we discuss the impact on student engagement and outcomes. So whether you're a teacher, administrator, or edtech enthusiast, this is an episode you don't want to miss as we discover how Lectec is building a bridge between technology and hands-on learning, one e-skateboard and e-scooter at a time. So let's get your steez on as we give your Ollie some style, because when we come back, Jared Ebersol and Luke St. Amand are here from Lectec to talk STEM and more. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Teachers, are you looking for resources that spark creativity and inspire learning? Look no further than Highly Motivated on Teachers Pay Teachers. From comprehensive lesson plans and interactive lab books to engaging informational test prep passages, Highly Motivated has everything you need to keep your students motivated and excited to learn. Whether it's a quick activity or a full unit, these resources are designed to save you time and help students succeed. Highly Motivated, motivating teaching resources that engage and inspire. Search Highly Motivated on Teachers Pay Teachers today.
Our children are the future. But how can we plant the seed that ignites greatness from within? It all starts with a spark of fun, of creativity, of ingenuity, and definitely electricity. Introducing Lectec LS, an electric skateboard kit designed specifically for kids age 7 to 70. The Lectec kit provides every nut and bolt you need to build it, charge it, and ride it. Hit the road and roll in style. But what makes this ride sweeter than the rest? It was built by you. We give you the tools, the parts, and the know-how to build the board of your future. The maple deck, larger wheels, and LED lighting ensure a stylish, safe, and comfortable ride. The optional handle makes it easier for anyone to learn to ride. Lectec's modular design allows you to customize freely and build a board as unique as you are. This is not your average skateboard. It's an experience, an opportunity to learn and grow. Help us empower the next generation of engineers and join our family of 6,000 leaders, builders, and dreamers. Engage with their education and light the spark with Lectec.
Jared Ebersol and Luke St. Amand are the dynamic duo behind Lectec, a STEM company that gives students the opportunity to build their own electric rides, such as e-skateboards. From a young age, these two innovators shared a passion for electric skateboards. Jared spent countless hours tinkering, testing, and dreaming up new designs. And what started out as a hobby has now evolved into two companies. Today, they've joined forces to build Lectec, a company dedicated to inspiring the next generation of engineers. Through their cutting-edge educational technology and hands-on learning experiences, Jared and Luke are empowering students to turn their own dreams into reality, just as they did with Lectec. I'd like to welcome Jared Ebersol and Luke St. Amand to Classroom Dynamics. Awesome to see you guys. I know we hung out a little bit at ISTE this past June. Nice to see you guys and welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us. We appreciate it.
So nice to see you again, Adam.
Awesome. Well, listen, before we get started with what we're going to talk about, tell everyone a little bit about what Lectec is and what it can bring to classrooms.
Yeah, definitely. So what Lectec is and what it can do for the classroom is we found that kids aren't engaged in what they're learning, especially in STEM. It's hard to bring that excitement and engagement. So we wanted to fix that. So Lectec is a DIY electric skateboard kit that completely transforms how kids interact and engage with STEM. So they build it together, or it includes all the parts and the tools for them to build it themselves. And they can build it in a group with 3 or 4 kids. And then after it's assembled, they can then go out and use it to ride. And then when they're done riding, they can then go through all of our curriculum and they learn all the middle school science standards, so they can do that in a fun way.
I loved what I saw when I saw you guys at ISTE, because there's such a hands-on, true feel to it. It's not just another gimmick. It's not just another curriculum, aspect, to someone's, learning in a classroom. There's substance to it. So that's something that really stood out to me when I met you guys at ISTE.
Yeah, it's one of those things where if you allow someone to build something with their hands, then they're going to be like really attached and like engaged with it. So by allowing a student to use the tools and put it together and then be able to ride it, they are going to inherently learn so much more just because they physically have that physical attachment to it.
100%. Well, let's get into the story behind how this all started. How did this passion for electric skateboards evolve into this creation of Lectec, and what actually inspired you guys to start Lectec?
Yeah, so I when I was 15 years old, I saw a guy riding an electric skateboard in New York City, and I was like, "This is the coolest thing I've ever seen. I have to have one." And I looked them up online. They were $1,600, and I didn't have $1,600, of course, because I was in high school. So I was like, I wish I could build one. So I spent the next 6 months with my dad hacking one together. We'd build it and it would break, and then I would have to fix it and then build it again, and then it would break again. And eventually I got to the point where I could ride an electric skateboard and it worked. So if you fast forward, maybe 6 or 7 years there, I had started selling electric skateboard kits. It turned into its own business. I was like, okay, I don't want to do this after high school. So I took a year off to run the business full time, and then got a scholarship offer for a school in New York. So I flew out there. But where Lectec comes back into play, and where I met Luke too, is in college. So the Christmas after I had met Luke, I had built an electric skateboard for my 7-year-old nephew, Brian. And when I gave it to him, it was fully assembled. And he's like, oh, this is the coolest thing ever. And I had expected him to be like, oh, let's go ride. He's like, this is like, that's what I had envisioned. But his first reaction was, well, how does it work? And I was just like, oh, okay, this is cool. So we spent 3 hours taking it all apart. And I explained every part. I was like, this is how a motor spins. This is how a battery works. This is how a gear system drives the wheel. And that entire time,
you became the teacher. You became the teacher. You became the STEM teacher.
Yeah, exactly. And it was a really cool thing to do, especially with my nephew. And because he had always seen me every time we would FaceTime, he would see me with an electric skateboard. So actually getting to be there in person and explain it was really cool. But that entire time, my sister was just sitting there and didn't say a whole word. She was just watching and letting me do my thing. And at the end of this, when we went to go ride, finally, she's like, hello, do I have to slap you? Do this for kids. So that's kind of where Lectec came to be, and how I pivoted to get into the education industry.
Isn't it amazing how things appear in front of you, but sometimes you don't see it yet? It's wow, that is like such an aha moment.
Yeah, definitely. I think Luke has probably one of the biggest one of those when I was like the story of how we met too.
Yeah. So I also watched that same guy that Jared had referenced. His name is Casey Neistat. He's like kind of our childhood heroes. He used to ride around a skateboard like all around New York City. That's actually the reason why I wanted to come to New York. So I was coming back from the library. It was like 11 o'clock at night. I was a pretty big nerd, at least Jared thinks I was, and saw him riding down like our trail at our school and on his electric skateboard. So I was like, I have to stop him and ask him about this. He was a total stranger. And he was like, oh, I actually like make these and you can ride one. I have one in my trunk right now. So then that's how
is he happy? He happened to have one in his trunk right there. That was great.
Yeah. Maybe this is all planned. I don't know. So then we ended up riding around for hours that night, just talking about everything, and became best friends ever since.
Well, look, that's a sign of a good business person, right? He had a backup ready to go in case someone came around, and there you were, came down the road. It just perfect. Like it's like peanut butter and chocolate and Reese's, right? It's just like a perfect combination. Speaking of inspiration, Lectec's mission is to inspire the next generation of engineers. How do your products and educational tools specifically support this goal? And what kind of impacts have you seen in classrooms so far?
I think school, this might be a hot take here. Like school is a bit of a bubble in a sense. It's like, it's a really great, comfortable, safe for everyone to learn. And that's amazing. But I think also it might have some downsides, especially like in our opinion. Me and Jared both struggled with school. Jared was super disinterested. It wasn't like a lack of desire to succeed or like motivation to grow. And I also did struggle as well. And that was because I was really bad at science, really like I thought I was, and kind of lacked that confidence. So Lectec, the hope of that and is what we wish we had when we were growing up and in school, and hopefully solve both those issues. So for people like Jared, it's breaking that bubble in a sense where it's kind of like a first of its kind STEM product that applies both inside and outside the classroom.
You make a really great point. Because I think I bring that to my classroom a lot too. I wasn't the best of students. I would think average, but I think sometimes it was just a lack of interest of what was being taught or how it was being taught. And I think that's why I try to do things a little bit differently, in that hope that, wow, that's what I had hoped or wished for back in the day when I was a kid. And now here's my opportunity to kind of turn the tables and up the ante and really put that bar so high and give kids that opportunity to be that kind of engaged, to inspire them. And I think that's exactly what you guys are doing and what you're talking about.
Definitely. And both of our backgrounds, we're both engineers now. So I was an engineer at Amazon. Jared's a self-taught mechanical electrical engineer. So like we definitely like to learn. It's just learning in the right way. And for us, kids are smart and they know like, hey, if this has no value, this is just a piece of paper I need to fill out, or I just need to listen for 45 minutes about something that, doesn't interest me or like has little applicability outside. And that's no fault to like the teacher or curriculum. It's just the way of which it's taught is how we're trying to change it. So this is, a product, but it's also a way to kind of connect to that outside environment. So you see electric scooters, you see electric skateboards all around. And it's like the hope of Lectec is someone can see that and be like, oh, I can build that now and have that connection of confidence to be able to build it. That's a game changer, at least for us. We thought that would be the case, and it definitely is true, and we're definitely seeing that. So, like the second part of your question,
how often have you heard in the past, even when you were young, or you probably have said it yourself, when am I ever going to use this?
Exactly.
This doesn't apply to me. I don't care about this. I'm not going to be a whatever. Why do I need to learn this? Right? You hear that all the time.
Definitely.
But to give kids the opportunity to do something with their hands, to actually build, to go out in the real world to use it, that's a whole different ballgame.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the second part of your question, like what results we've seen it. I mean, we have some awesome like personal stories, but we have some like data points, some surveys we've taken. One of the biggest ones that we're super proud of is like 20% jump in consideration in like a future STEM career. And I think that definitely speaks volume. There's a ton of other data points too, but that one's like the one we're most excited about, and definitely true across all of our Lectec users.
Yeah, sparking interest is probably half the battle, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Half the battle. So have there been any challenges that you faced even when you were developing Lectec, especially like the hands-on projects and the skateboard assembly activities? How have these projects benefited students both academically and personally? But what were some of the challenges you guys faced at first when you started doing all this stuff?
Yeah, so I would say one of the biggest challenges is we're creating a hardware product that is going to be used by students in an education environment. So it needs to be extremely intuitive for the user, and then also safe. So building an electric skateboard to do all of this that a student is able to build themselves and they can complete themselves is incredibly challenging. So it took, years and years and years of designing electric skateboards to be able to know that, okay, we're going to change all the bolts so that it only uses one screw head. And if they strip it, they can get a bolt from a different place if they need to. So just creating that specific hardware. And then on the software side, Luke might be able to speak a little bit better, but we've created an entire, custom learning management system so that there's lessons that go into depth. They hit all the middle school and GSS standards and some of the physics standards in high school as well, but creating all of that like technical capabilities so that students can log on, follow the assembly tutorial, follow the curriculum, has been one of those things that you only learn by doing it. So
yeah, and to follow it up, like the learn by doing, this is our fourth iteration of the skateboard design, Jared.
Yeah.
We had a beta program all the way back in 2022. So it's taken a lot of different iterations to get to this point of making sure it's a great experience for the students, the teachers, and anybody that wants to build one.
I think with any great technological, connected, whatever you want in whatever field you want, always is going to have that next best, right? That next upgrade. That look at the iPhone. What are we up to? 15, 16, 17? What are we up to now? So, I think that just shows a little bit more ingenuity on your part in terms of it's become a little bit more available or, more advanced. You can then start incorporating that into future, parts and projects that you guys are going to be doing.
Definitely. And we're also super excited. Like we're never just like complacent with where we are too. So now we're adding capabilities for programming and learning how to code on the board and how that physically interacts with the real world. So we're excited to launch that in the next couple of months as well.
Awesome. So let me ask you a really kind of hard question here. What would you say to a teacher who may want to do this? They're listening now. They think this is a great idea, but they may not feel comfortable enough to maybe incorporate a Lectec STEM project into their curriculum, but they really would like to, but they're really nervous how to do that, especially with a skateboard. What would you say to them?
That's a great question. I think that was really part of like the initial feedback we got from teachers was, how do we teach this? This is a super cool product, but how are you actually going to implement this in the classroom? So we spent a lot of time on this. Jared mentioned before, we built a fully custom learning management system. So I kind of used that engineering background I had to do that. So we partner with also some curriculum specialists to build out content for it. So these are lifelong educators, STEM educators. They loved our product and we're like super excited about the opportunity to partner with us and helped us create, I think it's building now over 12 hours of lesson plans. And it's fully available on the custom learning management system as a PDF to print out, but also interactive for students. Didn't want to kind of waste the opportunity to integrate, all the accessible opportunities of the internet. So we have, videos for the collision experiment showing how like Tesla and how electric vehicle is better at, collision ratings. And there's actually videos to show it, which is something I think is just like missing in textbooks. But anyways, going back to the teacher, the whole point of that was kind of to make a really great end-to-end experience where now a teacher can buy the product and they can go into the LMS and have over 12 hours of lesson plans that are actually using the electric skateboard or hopefully soon to be scooter in an experiment. So you're learning about Newton's second law, radio waves, conversion of energy, all using the skateboard in a hands-on way as well. So for anyone that's listening that wants to integrate in the classroom, we've definitely hopefully solved this for you and available in a really easy and accessible way.
I think teachers appreciate that a lot when it's pretty much laid out for them. And especially if they're nervous, they want to do this, they're excited, they want this, but how do I get past that point of actually going ahead and doing it, right? That's the hard part. So to give them what they want and lay it all out for them, I think is perfect. I think it's a great way to do it.
Definitely. And one of our biggest priorities too was, I know I mentioned we had curriculum specialists that were STEM teachers. We wanted to make sure the curriculum was meant for any type of instructor. So an after school, a summer camp, anybody can teach this. So that was also a really big point of this.
There you go. Well, let's stick with the curriculum theme for another moment. How do you ensure that Lectec's curriculum aligns with the ISTE standards and the next generation science standards? And what are some examples of how this interaction really enhances student learning?
Yeah, this was a big help to our curriculum specialist partners. So they've been doing it for quite a long time and probably know all the standards for middle school, high school, like the back of their hand. So they helped us, work backwards from, middle school physical science standard, MS, PS, there's all a ton of numbers. I'm sure you're nodding your head, and work backwards and be able to create a lesson to be able to teach that. So, and integrating this, again, the skateboard in an experiment to be able to teach it in a really fun way. So they were a really helping guiding factor for that. And also just a lot of research. We spent a ton of time ourselves to really understand what we're trying to do to make sure it was a great experience. So not just covering one part of middle school or high school. So not just physical science, but earth science, physics, and a whole bunch of other ones. So there's lessons about carbon emissions, sustainability, tracing back to the materials that actually build a skateboard and learning a ton of different stuff.
So you have multiple entry points to get into this one product.
Absolutely.
I love it. I love it. I mean, look, you got to become the expert too before you start to teach something, right? You have to know what you're talking about. You can't just teach. Just doesn't work. I don't know if people understand that, but it just doesn't work that way. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we'll talk about what's next for Lectec and what it can mean for you and your future STEM integration projects. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back in just 30 seconds. Every classroom has the potential to be extraordinary, and the Logitech Reach adjustable content camera is your partner in making that happen. With its flexible arm and clear video, you can now showcase everything from detailed drawings to live experiments, ensuring that every student is engaged and involved. Whether you're teaching in person or online, Logitech Reach helps you connect with your students in a whole new way. Ready to take your lessons further? Visit logitech.com/reach and elevate your classroom to a whole new level. Welcome back to Classroom Dynamics. We're talking with Jared Ebersol and Luke St. Amand from Lectec, a company that provides STEM curriculum projects and electric vehicle kits. I love that phrase, electric vehicle kits. Looking ahead, what exciting developments? I know we kind of hinted at this a little bit before, but what exciting developments or new initiatives can we expect from you guys in the near future? And are there any upcoming products or projects that you're particularly excited about that you could kind of share with our audience?
Yeah, so the one that is the biggest in the pipeline is definitely the electric scooter. So electric skateboards kind of have that negative connotation about safety and applicability to the classroom, but electric scooters kind of shift that norm a little bit to be a little bit safer, a little bit easier to put together and whatnot there. So we'll have that platform, and then we're also adding the coding and programming capability. But then what's really exciting is once you build the product, whether it's a skateboard or a scooter, the learning doesn't stop there. So the system that it runs off of is fully transferable to a different vehicle. So you could build a scooter and then take the battery and the controller and the motor off of it and electrify the chair that I'm sitting on now if you wanted to. You could electrify like a wheelchair. You could do go-karts, robots, whatever you're looking for. This platform is super modular and also scalable for anything that a teacher wants to do. So we really didn't want to limit them and see where kids can go. So at the end of our curriculum, we actually have a STEM challenge that students do. where they design a mobility device for someone with a disability, and they take our battery, motor, and controller and modify it in a way that it would benefit somebody else. So we love seeing that and all that the students create there.
That's really cool. What is the wheelhouse in terms of age groups? I know you mentioned junior high school and high school. Would you bring that down to elementary, or is that not really quite where they would be?
Yeah, so middle school is definitely in the sweet spot, and we're flexing up until high school when we're getting into a little bit older age now. But middle school is our bread and butter as we speak.
That is awesome. Listen, you guys have really hit upon something really cool. I saw it at ISTE. I mentioned that earlier, and I just thought, wow, you guys have to be on the podcast because this is the coolest thing I've seen in a long time. It's been really great to have you guys. Such an informative, engaging conversation. I'm glad we had the chance to learn more about Lectec and how you're actually lifting the level of STEM education in classrooms that I don't think we've seen in quite some time. Before we go, tell everyone where they can go to find out more about Lectec and how educators can get started with all the things that you guys provide.
Definitely. So the website is lectec.com, lectec.com. And if any educators have questions, they can go on, download a sample of our curriculum, use some of the resources that we have online. And if they have any questions, they can send us an email at team@lectec.com.
And also follow
Very
us
cool. We'll
on
also have
Instagram.
that in the show notes too. Follow,
Go
yes, no,
Lectec.
tell, give everyone all your socials. Let's go through it. Instagram first. Go for it.
At Go Lectec. There's also, if you look at the Instagram, really cool ISTE videos we took. I think that might be super cool for teachers to watch.
They're definitely entertaining. You guys came up with some really creative ones. So actually, if you have not checked out their Instagram page, go ahead and do so. There's they really were creative. I got to tell you, you guys have some good minds behind the scenes over there.
We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well, for those of you who have been listening, thank you for tuning in today, and make sure that you share what you've learned or any takeaways or reflections that you've had, and tag us at Classroom Dynamics on Twitter or Instagram at Classroom Dynamics Podcast. We always look forward to hearing your thoughts on our episodes and sharing the different ways in which you're using what you've learned. You can also help support Classroom Dynamics with as little as $3 a month at classroomdynamicspodcast.buzzsprout.com. Once again, I'd like to thank Jared Ebersol and Luke St. Amand from Lectec for joining us on Classroom Dynamics today. It has been such a pleasure having you guys on. It's such down-to-earth, awesome product that you guys have. I love it. And thank you for all the hard work that you're doing to make kids a little bit more engaged and make things a little bit more meaningful in classrooms. So I think I appreciate that. And I'm sure teachers who use it do appreciate that as well.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you having us on and helping us spread the word a little bit.
Thanks so much, Adam. Hopefully see you soon.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys. And that brings us to the end of this episode of Classroom Dynamics, where knowledge and inspiration meets innovation. I hope you've enjoyed today's discussion and found it both insightful and uplifting. As always, my goal is to provide you with practical strategies, engaging stories, and powerful insights that can fuel your motivation as an educator. I believe that when knowledge and inspiration do come together, incredible things can happen in your classroom. And for all of you who may feel that it's too late to strengthen your craft, I challenge you to make it your mission to do so. You've worked hard to get to where you are today, and it's never too late to infuse new life into your work. So why not make today that day to do so? I'm Adam Todd, and you've been listening to Classroom Dynamics, a teacher podcast. You can follow Classroom Dynamics on X at Class Dynamics or on Instagram at Classroom Dynamics Podcast. If you haven't already, go to Apple Podcasts and subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. And if you know a teacher who may benefit from today's show, please share it with them. We'll be back soon with more captivating conversations, inspiring stories, and strategies that you can implement into your everyday routines. Until then, keep igniting that spark in your classroom and never stop believing in the incredible impact you have as an educator. You're more powerful and inspirational than you think. If you loved this episode, you'll enjoy my conversation with Sue Thoughts of Common Sense Education. In this special episode celebrating Computer Science Week, we explore the dynamic landscape of digital literacy within the context of Computer Science Week. Sue shares her insights on cultivating a strong foundation in computer science education, offering practical advice for parents, educators, and students eager to navigate an ever-changing digital world. From decoding online content to fostering a love for coding, join us for a captivating conversation with Sue Thoughts, where we bridge the gap between digital literacy and the exciting opportunities that Computer Science Week brings to the forefront.
Yeah, so computer science, obviously it's not the first thing you think of when it comes to digital citizenship, but with a lot of the standards related to computer science, such as around the impacts of computing, and having students understand a lot of those social emotional skills when it comes to being creators. So our students, when we are giving them these computer science skills, they need to not only understand the ways in which they can be coding, right? It's not just the practice of making stuff, but it's about the impacts of what those types of creations are going to have on the real world.